Ever feel that nagging discomfort, like you're sitting on a golf ball? It's a deep, persistent pressure that just won't quit, no matter how you sit, turning even your favorite chair into a place you dread. And what about in the bathroom? Do you struggle to urinate while standing up? Maybe the stream is weak, it stops and starts, or you never feel completely empty. But if you sit down, it suddenly gets easier. It's a frustrating problem you probably keep to yourself. Maybe you've seen a doctor. You've run the tests and given the samples, hoping for a simple bacterial infection that antibiotics could fix. But the results come back unclear. They show no bacteria, or so little that your doctor dismisses it as the cause of your very real discomfort. And still, the feeling persists. The pressure is there. The urinary issues continue, and you're left confused, fighting an invisible enemy. You might have a diagnosis like prostatitis or chronic pelvic pain syndrome, but you don't have a clear way forward. If this sounds familiar, I want you to know two things. First, you are not alone. Millions of men, especially over 50, are on this same frustrating journey. Second, there is hope. The key to relief often isn't in a pill bottle, but in understanding how parts of our daily lives create a perfect storm of inflammation and tension in the pelvic area. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on this condition. We're counting down the top 5 common and overlooked things you might be doing to aggravate your prostate and pelvic region. We'll explore why they're harmful and, most importantly, what to do about them. So get as comfortable as you can, and let's start solving this puzzle together. Number 5. You drink too little plain water. Let's begin with one of the most fundamental building blocks of health, yet one of the most commonly neglected: insufficient intake of clean water. It sounds almost too simple to be a major contributor to such a complex problem, doesn't it? But the reality is, the amount and quality of the water you drink have a profound and direct impact on your urinary health and pelvic comfort. Think of your urinary tract, your kidneys, your bladder, your urethra, as a sophisticated plumbing and filtration system. Like any high-performance system, it requires a constant, steady flow of clean fluid to function properly. When you don't drink enough water, you are essentially forcing this system to operate under duress. Your urine becomes highly concentrated. It's darker in color, stronger in odor, and it's packed with waste products and minerals that your body is trying to expel. Now imagine this concentrated, acidic fluid sitting in your bladder for hours. The lining of your bladder and your urethra is a delicate mucous membrane. When it's constantly exposed to this harsh, concentrated urine, it becomes irritated. This irritation is a form of inflammation. It can directly cause a burning sensation during urination, a feeling of urgency, and a constant, low-grade ache in the bladder area. For a man already dealing with an inflamed or sensitive prostate, this is like pouring salt on a wound. The irritated bladder sends distress signals throughout the pelvic region, further tensing the muscles and exacerbating that golf ball feeling. Furthermore, a healthy flow of water is essential for flushing out potential troublemakers. Even if your tests don't show a full-blown bacterial infection, small amounts of bacteria can still be present. Proper hydration ensures that you are urinating frequently, which mechanically flushes these bacteria out of the urethra and bladder before they have a chance to multiply and gain a foothold. When you're dehydrated, bacteria can linger, creating a low-grade inflammatory response that contributes to your overall symptom picture. So what do we mean by enough clean water? The old 8 glasses a day rule is a decent starting point, but a more personalized approach is better. A good goal for many men is to aim for about half of your body weight in ounces of water per day. For example, if you weigh 200 pounds, you should aim for about 100 ounces of water. This isn't a rigid rule, and your needs will vary based on your activity level and the climate you live in. But it's a powerful target. The clean part is also important. If your tap water is high in chlorine or other chemicals, it might be an additional source of irritation for some sensitive individuals. Investing in a simple carbon water filter for your pitcher or your tap can be a worthwhile step. It removes many of these potential irritants, providing you with cleaner, better-tasting water that your body can use more effectively. The key is consistency. Don't wait until you're thirsty. By then, you're already dehydrated. Get a large, reusable water bottle and keep it with you throughout the day. Start your morning with a large glass of water to rehydrate after sleeping. Set reminders on your phone if you have to. It might seem like a small change, but consistently providing your body with the clean water it needs can dramatically reduce bladder irritation, dilute urinary irritants, and soothe your entire pelvic region. Don't underestimate its power. Number 4, chronic stress. Now we move on to an influence that is invisible, yet incredibly powerful. Constant, chronic stress. In our modern world, we tend to think of stress as a purely mental or emotional problem, a feeling of being overwhelmed, anxious, or worried. But your body doesn't make that distinction. To your nervous system, mental stress is a physical event, and it triggers a cascade of physical responses that can have a devastating effect on your pelvic health. The mechanism behind this is rooted in our ancient survival instincts. When you perceive a threat, whether it's a predator in the wild or an angry email from your boss, your body activates the fight or flight response. Your adrenal glands pump out stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. Your heart rate increases, your breathing becomes shallow, and your muscles tense up, preparing for action. This is a brilliant system for short-term survival. The problem is, in our modern lives, the predator is never gone. The financial worries, the relationship issues, the pressure at work, these things keep the stress response simmering on a low boil, day in and day out. This state of chronic stress leads to chronic muscle tension. And where do many men unconsciously hold this tension? In their jaw, their neck, their shoulders, and deep in their pelvis. The pelvic floor is a complex sling of muscles that supports your bladder, bowel, and sexual organs. When you are under chronic stress, these muscles can clench up, just like you might clench your fist when you're angry. But unlike your fist, you're often completely unaware that it's happening. This creates a state of chronic, involuntary tightness in the pelvic floor, a condition known as pelvic floor hypertonicity. This constantly clenched state is a primary driver of non-bacterial prostatitis and chronic pelvic pain syndrome. This tightness directly creates that deep, aching pain and the golf ball sensation. It can also choke off blood flow to the area, which hinders healing and the delivery of oxygen and nutrients. Furthermore, these tight muscles can press on and irritate the nerves that run through the pelvis, like the pudendal nerve, sending confusing pain signals throughout the region. They can also squeeze the urethra, leading to many of the urinary symptoms you experience: a weak stream, hesitation, and a feeling of incomplete emptying. You are then caught in a vicious cycle. The pain and urinary symptoms cause you more stress and anxiety, which in turn causes your pelvic muscles to clench even tighter, which then makes the pain and symptoms even worse. You can see how easy it is to get trapped. Breaking this cycle requires a conscious effort to manage your body's response to stress. This isn't about eliminating stress from your life. That's impossible. It's about learning to activate your body's rest and digest system, the opposite of fight or flight. One of the most powerful tools for this is diaphragmatic breathing, or belly breathing. Take a few minutes several times a day to lie down or sit comfortably. Place one hand on your chest and one on your belly. As you breathe in slowly through your nose, focus on making your belly rise while your chest stays relatively still. Then, exhale slowly through your mouth, letting your belly fall. This type of breathing directly stimulates the vagus nerve, which is the main highway of your parasympathetic nervous system, telling your entire body, including your pelvic floor, that it is safe to relax. Other practices like mindfulness, meditation, gentle yoga, or even spending quiet time in nature can be profoundly effective. It's about interrupting the cycle of stress and giving your nervous system a break. By learning to manage your stress, you are learning to consciously release the tension in your pelvic floor, which can lead to a remarkable reduction in your symptoms. You're not just calming your mind, you're calming your muscles. Number 3, spicy food. Let's turn our attention back to what we consume, but this time to a specific category of items that can act as direct irritants: spicy and acidic foods. While the previous point on water was about what you're not getting enough of, this one is about what you might be getting too much of. Things that can directly provoke and anger an already sensitive system. Think of your bladder and prostate lining, when inflamed, as being like a sunburn on your skin. Even a light touch or a gentle breeze can be irritating. Similarly, when your urinary tract is sensitized, certain compounds in foods and drinks can cause a significant flare-up of your symptoms, particularly urinary frequency, urgency, and burning. Let's talk about spicy foods first. The compound that gives chili peppers their heat is called capsaicin. While capsaicin has some health benefits when used in certain ways, when you ingest it, it passes through your system and is eventually excreted in your urine. For a man with a healthy urinary tract, this is no problem. But for someone with prostatitis or CPPS, this capsaicin-laced urine passing through the sensitive urethra and sitting in the bladder can be intensely irritating. It can directly trigger inflammation and pain, much like rubbing a chili pepper on that sunburn we mentioned. If you notice your symptoms get worse a few hours after eating a spicy curry, buffalo wings, or food with hot sauce, this is likely the reason why. Next up are acidic foods. This is a broad category, and sensitivity varies greatly from person to person. The most common culprits are citrus fruits: oranges, lemons, grapefruit, pineapple, and tomatoes. Yes, tomatoes, and everything made from them, like pasta sauce, ketchup, and pizza sauce. While these foods are acidic in their natural state, the primary issue is how they are metabolized and the compounds that end up in your urine, which can lower the urine's pH and make it more irritating to the bladder lining. Other major offenders in this category that often get overlooked are coffee, both regular and decaf, due to its acidity, certain teas, and alcohol. Alcohol is a double whammy. It's a direct bladder irritant and it's a diuretic, which can lead to dehydration and more concentrated, irritating urine if you're not drinking enough water alongside it. Carbonated drinks, or sodas, are also frequently cited by men as a trigger, due to both their acidity and artificial ingredients. The challenge here is that these triggers are highly individual. What causes a major flare-up for one man might be perfectly fine for another. So, how do you figure out what your personal triggers are? The most effective method is to become a detective of your own body through an elimination diet. Here's how it works. For a period of 2 to 3 weeks, you completely remove all of the most common potential irritants from your diet. That means no spicy foods, no tomatoes, no citrus, no coffee, no alcohol, no carbonated drinks. It's strict, but it's temporary. During this time, you stick to a very simple, bland diet and focus on drinking plenty of clean water. The goal is to calm your system down and establish a baseline. After this calm down period, you begin to reintroduce the items one by one. For example, on Monday, you might have a cup of coffee in the morning. Then, for the next 48 to 72 hours, you do nothing else differently and you pay very close attention to your symptoms. Did your pain increase? Did your urinary urgency come back? Keep a detailed food and symptom journal. If there's no reaction, that food is likely safe for you. If there is a reaction, You've identified a trigger. You then wait until your symptoms calm down again and test the next item on your list, like tomatoes. This process takes patience, but it is incredibly empowering. It allows you to move away from a generic list of bad foods and create a personalized diet that works for you, allowing you to avoid the things that cause you pain while still enjoying the things that don't. Number 2, sedentary lifestyle. We arrive at a factor that has become an epidemic in our modern society: a sedentary, sitting-dominant lifestyle. The phrase, "sitting is the new smoking," has become a cliché, but when it comes to pelvic health, it is a profound truth. The human body was designed for movement, and when we spend the majority of our days seated, in a car, at a desk, on the couch, we create a perfect storm of conditions that directly aggravate prostatitis and chronic pelvic pain. Let's break down the mechanics of why prolonged sitting is so detrimental. First, and most obviously, is direct physical compression. When you are sitting, the entire weight of your torso is pressing down directly onto your pelvic region. Your chair puts constant pressure on the perineum, the area between your scrotum and anus, right where the prostate and many of the sensitive pelvic floor muscles are located. For a man with an already inflamed or tender prostate, this is like pressing on a bruise for 8 hours a day. This direct pressure can restrict blood flow, increase inflammation, and is often the primary cause of that feeling of sitting on a golf ball. The pressure is real. Second, sitting leads to a dramatic reduction in blood flow and circulation throughout the pelvic basin. Your circulatory system relies on movement and muscle contraction to help pump blood back to the heart. When you are stationary, blood can begin to pool and stagnate in the pelvis. Good circulation is vital for healing. It brings oxygen-rich blood and nutrients to damaged tissues, and just as importantly, it carries away inflammatory byproducts and waste. A sedentary lifestyle essentially creates a traffic jam in your pelvis, trapping inflammatory agents and starving the tissues of what they need to repair themselves. Third, prolonged sitting creates predictable and harmful patterns of muscle imbalance. It causes your hip flexor muscles at the front of your hips to become short and tight, while your gluteal muscles, your butt muscles, become weak and inactive. This imbalance tilts your pelvis out of its optimal alignment, which can place further strain on the pelvic floor muscles and the lower back, contributing to the cycle of tension and pain. So what is the antidote? Movement. And I'm not necessarily talking about running a marathon or engaging in intense gym workouts, which can sometimes even aggravate the condition. I'm talking about consistently and frequently breaking up periods of sitting and reintroducing gentle, natural movement into your day. The single most powerful habit you can adopt is to get up and move for at least 2 to 5 minutes every 30 minutes. Set a timer on your phone or watch. When it goes off, stand up. Walk around your office or house. Do some gentle stretches. Go get a glass of water, which also helps with point number 5. This simple act prevents the stagnation of blood flow and gives the tissues of your pelvis a break from constant pressure. Consider your sitting setup. If you have to sit for work, invest in a high-quality, ergonomic chair. Even better, consider a special cushion designed to relieve pressure on the perineum. These often have a cutout for the tailbone and perineal area, shifting your weight onto your sit bones instead. This can provide immediate and significant relief for many men. A standing desk, even if used for just part of the day, can also be a game changer. Incorporate a daily walk into your routine. A brisk 20 to 30-minute walk is a fantastic, low-impact way to improve pelvic circulation, engage your muscles, and reduce stress. Gentle stretching, particularly for the hips, hamstrings, and inner thighs, can also help to release tension that contributes to pelvic pain. Your body craves movement. By consciously breaking the habit of prolonged sitting, you are directly addressing several of the core mechanical issues that drive chronic pelvic pain. You are literally taking the pressure off, restoring blood flow, and creating an environment where your body can finally begin to heal. Number 1. Consumption of unhealthy food. And here we are at the number 1 most harmful factor to avoid, because it influences everything else in your body. The consumption of foods that cause systemic inflammation. This is different from point number 3, which focused on foods that are direct bladder irritants. This is about the overall inflammatory state of your entire body, a state that is largely determined by what you eat day in and day out. Inflammation, at its core, is a healthy and natural immune response. When you get a cut, the area becomes red, swollen, and warm. That's inflammation at work, fighting off invaders and initiating repair. The problem is when this inflammatory response becomes chronic. A diet high in certain foods can put your immune system on constant, low-grade alert, creating a state of simmering, body-wide inflammation. For a man struggling with prostatitis, a condition whose very name ends in itis, meaning inflammation, this is like throwing gasoline on a fire. Your pelvic pain is a localized fire, but a poor diet creates an inflammatory environment that gives that fire all the fuel it needs to keep burning. So what are the primary culprits in the standard American diet that drive this chronic inflammation? The biggest offender is processed and refined sugar. This includes the obvious sources like sodas, fruit juices, candy, and desserts, but also the hidden sugars in so many processed foods, from breakfast cereals and granola bars to ketchup and salad dressings. When you consume a large amount of sugar, it causes a rapid spike in blood sugar and insulin, which in turn triggers the release of inflammatory messengers called cytokines. A high-sugar diet is a pro-inflammatory diet, period. Next are unhealthy fats, specifically man-made trans fats and an overabundance of omega-6 fatty acids. Trans fats, often listed as partially hydrogenated oils, are found in many processed foods, fried foods, and baked goods. They are intensely inflammatory and are detrimental to your health in every way. Omega-6 fatty acids are found in vegetable oils like corn, soybean, sunflower, and safflower oil, which are used in countless processed foods. While we need some omega-6, our modern diet provides a massively imbalanced ratio of omega-6 to anti-inflammatory omega-3 fats. This imbalance heavily promotes inflammation throughout the body. Finally, refined carbohydrates, things like white bread, white pasta, white rice, and most packaged snack foods, act very similarly to sugar in the body. They are stripped of their fiber and nutrients, causing a rapid spike in blood sugar and promoting an inflammatory response. Essentially, a diet built around processed, packaged, and fast foods is a diet that is actively promoting the very inflammation that is causing your pain. The solution is to consciously shift your diet away from these inflammatory foods and towards a whole foods, anti-inflammatory diet. This is the single most impactful, long-term strategy for cooling down the inflammation in your prostate and throughout your body. What does an anti-inflammatory diet look like? It's rich in healthy omega-3 fats, found in fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines, as well as in walnuts, flax seeds, and chia seeds. These fats are the direct counterbalance to the inflammatory omega-6s. A rainbow of vegetables and fruits, especially dark leafy greens like spinach and kale, and colorful berries like blueberries and raspberries. They are packed with antioxidants and polyphenols, which are powerful anti-inflammatory compounds. Healthy monounsaturated fats, from sources like olive oil, avocados, and almonds. Lean proteins and plant-based proteins. Spices with anti-inflammatory properties, like turmeric, containing curcumin and ginger. Making this shift can feel overwhelming, so start small. Swap your daily soda for a glass of water with a mint leaf. Instead of a pastry for breakfast, have a bowl of oatmeal with berries and walnuts. Grill a piece of salmon for dinner instead of ordering a pizza. Cook with olive oil instead of vegetable oil. Each small change is a vote for an anti-inflammatory state. Each meal is an opportunity to either fuel the fire of inflammation or to help put it out. By taking control of your diet, you are taking control of the inflammatory environment within your own body, giving yourself the best possible chance to heal from the inside out. So there you have it. The top 5 things to avoid if you're battling the persistent discomfort of prostatitis and chronic pelvic pain syndrome. We've talked about the crucial importance of proper hydration with clean water to soothe your urinary tract. We've uncovered how the invisible force of chronic stress translates into very real physical tension in your pelvic floor. We've learned how to become detectives to identify our personal food triggers, like spicy and acidic items. We've seen the profound damage a sedentary, sitting lifestyle can inflict and the simple power of movement to reverse it. And finally, we've addressed the cornerstone of it all, tackling the systemic, body-wide fire of inflammation by shifting our diet away from processed foods and towards healing whole foods. The common thread through all of these points is empowerment. It's about moving away from a feeling of helplessness and realizing that there are concrete, actionable steps you can take, starting today, to influence how you feel. I know this journey can be long and often lonely. This channel is just starting out, and our goal is to build a community of support and provide clear, helpful information for men just like you. If you found this video helpful, the single best way you can support our work and help us reach more men who need to hear this message is to take a moment to click that subscribe button. It costs you nothing, but for a new channel, it means the world. It's the ultimate form of thanks for our work. Most importantly, do not give up. You are not your diagnosis. Be patient with yourself, celebrate the small victories, and keep seeking the combination of changes that works for you. Your path to feeling better is a journey, not a sprint. Thank you for watching. Be well, stay strong, and know that you have the power to find your path to recovery.